Hey, everybody. Oscar Duran here from Black Sailboat, shooting here from 5th and Broad with my brother Mikey. Say what's up, Mikey.
What's up?
We are proud to be here in Fremont, USA.
Fifth and Broad, downtown Fremont, the pod from Fifth and Broad. A lot of people are saying.
Thank you, Chrissy and Katie.
Yeah.
No, all serious, though. You might notice we're a little bit off schedule today. Mike, do you want to tell them why we're off schedule?
Yeah, we have a pretty lighthearted approach to most things, but in all seriousness, as you might have heard, and a majority of our audience is local, so you for sure have heard, we've been experiencing in our region a bunch of floods and
A lot of water.
Yeah, a lot of water, and I think it was going to be something that we kind of had to figure out how to talk about. Either way, we're a little behind, like just by nature of me not being able to get here, but it's as prevalent as it was a few days ago. Still,
and I think that brings volumes of discussion to saying, how it impacted. And we debated if we talk about this right now, but the reality is, hey, we're community revitalists. We need to talk about this. And honestly, it's been an interesting story. And we can at least offer a narrative. So for today, the article I picked, and we had to go search for the right article.
Yeah.
This just went hot off the presses 6 hours ago. And actually, even 20 minutes ago, it didn't have a title of an author or an author. But now, Dalia Mortada from the Texas Public Radio. So this article comes out of Texas. It's called Nebraska Floods. And it says 74 cities, 65 counties declare a state of emergency. And again, it's over on Texas Public Radio's blog. It's tpr.org if you're going to go look for it. Or you can follow me on Flipboard, O Duran. I have it under Rural Lives magazine. So.
Yeah, so I was going to come out here. I live in Omaha, Nebraska, for everyone who doesn't know, and Oscar lives in Fremont, and we record this podcast in Fremont. I was going to come out here on Friday. It's Tuesday evening now. I didn't make it before some of the roads closed, and that turned into every road closing in and out of Fremont. So to you, I'll reference your initial experience going through that. What did it mean to you? And then two, where is this area at as a community, really?
No, for sure. And obviously Dodge County, the county that Fremont's in, we're just one of the communities really impacted here.
Yeah.
Quite a few others were landlocked. It was really interesting perspective, though, because y'all might not know the terrain, but where we're located here at the Ideal Gallery for Black Sailboat, we're right at the end of the viaduct that goes over into a neighborhood called Inglewood. And this Inglewood's in the majority of a floodplain, as I understand, is what other people told me.
Right.
It's actually a potential NR site that we're looking at doing work in the next couple of years. But that was area that was underwater. Tons of families displaced. And again, this wasn't the only one. This isn't to draw any attention. It was just this whole session is really just to talk about the local perspective on what we saw happen.
Yeah, and so that's to the south of where we are in downtown Fremont, south on Highway 77.
Yeah.
And then that goes through Inglewood.
And to paint a picture, imagine walking one block, there's the beginning of this viaduct that goes over all the railroad tracks. And as soon as you get to the viaduct, which is, I don't know, it's roughly 2 city blocks walk is how long the viaduct is.
Yeah.
There is just probably 2 and 3 feet of water.
Yeah.
And it was, the whole road 77 was just cut off that way. And, my heart really goes out to a lot of the families who were, it was really interesting Friday seeing, it was already flooding in. And it was just, I hadn't seen so much activity on Broad since I've lived here and since Katie and I have owned this property. It was interesting. It's very surreal. I don't know another word to talk about that.
Yeah, I imagine. And I think, there's, you couldn't estimate the number of people who were more impacted by this flood than us, right? So not trying to come at you with like, hey, look how bad this flood was for us. Trying to
No.
examine it kind of.
End of the day, me and Katie got a little water in our basement.
Yeah.
We stayed home the whole time. We heard people being evacuated in all the neighborhoods around us. We were the last neighborhood that didn't really to the, what is that, south and west of us.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, it felt appropriate. It felt like we needed to talk about this today, right?
Yeah.
The reality is, here's this article in Texas. They're talking about it, and it's so important because there's so many other things that happen. And the beautiful part of the story from my thing, and the reason I wanted to talk about this today was, man, why do I love community work?
Yeah.
It was so dope.
Yeah.
Seeing so many people come together really quick.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's an unfortunate circumstance, but man, this is a dope town. And actually, I'm just going to talk about our whole region, because even now today, I was just at the Nebraska Investment Finance Authority has this annual conference, and I was just down there today. Mm-hmm. And man, a lot of my colleagues are coming up and just asking what's going on, and how's it going over there, and then even the pour of emails over the last 3 days, making sure I'm okay. And then some of my buddies from South O that have their own CDCs and nonprofits are like, hey, we're ready, we're here to help. What can we do?
Yeah, so I think there's two things there. One is that you don't know exactly what to do from the outside when you have people that you love, like and when I say the inside, I mean like people who are impacted or potentially going to be impacted by something that you're not, right? And that's how I felt in Omaha when I couldn't make it here on Friday. I started feeling like, I wish I would have left a little earlier. And like even if I had to be stuck there for a week with Oscar, like that's how I felt, and I don't know if that's right or wrong, like, because there's, like I said, there's people who were stuck here for that week, and I was like, I wanted to be stuck here for that week with you, right? And not because like I thought that there was anything good happening to the people who are here, but like I wanted to be here for you.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, Friday and Saturday night were kind of weird. My kids and my wife were super stressed out. As I imagine a lot are worse, because you're like, not more stressed than the people that actually were displaced, but like to being like, oh, is that water going to come? Is it gonna, are we going to get evacuated next? Yeah. And it's, the crazy thing is that like, and maybe I'm just naive, but for a moment when they talked about the water rising, I'm like, I've never heard of this in my lifetime here. Like, right. We're not Louisiana. This ain't Katrina. Mm-hmm. This isn't, and I'm not even comparing us to the devastation that happened there, but you're like, oh, this isn't going to happen to our little town. Mm. 3 days later, all the roads are shut down, over 200 homes probably just in our town. By my rough estimates, that's not a real number, by the way, but at least that's what I'd guess.
Yeah, and I think so. I didn't know what was going to happen, and I didn't have any experience with something happening directly to you here in Fremont, and that's what I was thinking. Like, I knew where we live in Omaha was going to be fine no matter what, and I was thinking about you and your wife and your kids, like, going through it, and I was feeling like, there's no way in, there's no way out, and like I can't do anything. It's like help, like I'm not even being impacted by it, and I feel helpless. So I can't even imagine what it's like, for one, for you who is in an area of danger, and then two, for people whose houses are underwater.
Well, and it's interesting. We, I do community development work for the church here in town for St. Patrick in Fremont, and one of the things I lead is the communication effort that we have. And gosh, I got so many, I don't want to say like a lot, but handfuls of emails and texts being like, what are we doing? We need to be doing more. Look at all these churches doing something. How are we going to step up to the plate? And I'm not even hating on them. Like, I get it. Like, there's this feeling of like, God, what more can we be doing? Right. What more do we do to respond? And I'm not this whole podcast is going to be heavy. I'm going to talk about some funny stuff I saw too,
Yeah.
and whether it's funny or not.
Yeah.
I mean, here's one good funny example. 2.5 blocks south of us down 3rd Street, I saw 2 cats in a canoe, just going down the street.
Yeah.
Maybe we can use that or the kids playing in the water as like a picture for this one. I don't know, but what I mean is that like, man, sometimes you just got to make the best of what's going on, and we're humans, right? We go through this, but
Yeah.
the powerful story that came out is like we're humans together. So how the region is coming together. I mean, as this article talked about, there's so many people that are going to respond and be helpful. And honestly, we're kind of just barely getting a breather now. And so now today was a very different day because I have colleagues from Omaha calling me like, hey, what can we help with?
Uh-huh.
We hear the roads are back. How can we help? And I'm like, oh man, yes, I got to call. I tried to call the mayor, called some city council people, and be like, hey, I don't really know what the plan is right now. I hear there's one, but I don't know. Now the rebuilding starts, and then I'm still praying for my brothers and sisters at Columbus. They got slammed. I think even harder than we did.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody showed me a picture of a part of town or a neighborhood underwater, and said, "Where now? What what happens now?" I said, "Well, that's a tough question to answer." Or I thought that. I didn't say that, but I think from a community development perspective. So I think throughout this, through something tragic that happens, you are going to see the best of people, right? Because people come together in these situations. And in some instances, you're going to kind of see the worst of people. And I think I have a couple of things to share about that. I'm sure you do as well.
Oh man, no.
But we can get to that. But when you see the response, right, and you're here, and you're living here, and you see people coming together for the better good. And in those situations, it doesn't matter how you vote, what your religion is, you see humanity, coming together to survive to rebuild or whatever it is. And I feel like some of that's happening around us.
Yeah, and it was so dope to see life. Me and Katie were in this very interesting perspective, and I thank God for the blessing I have. Not getting into a real tangent on this, but like we are very, I'm an ethnographer, and I had a front line view from the top of our house here at the 2nd story of the Ideal, and I counted at least probably 13 boats that were parking at this edge of the viaduct, and the police are letting them back out to go get people out of Inglewood. And there's just the lines of volunteers who are ready to go and sandbag over at ARPS. It's like a concrete place, and they're sandbagging. And I went out there Friday to see the sandbagging, right? And then by Saturday afternoon, that whole area was probably 3 feet underwater.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang, that went quick. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then you get these emails and saying, hey guys, we need more sandbags. Another levee broke. We need more baggers, and then, you go down to the other site and got you drove in with your truck. I took my truck and I went in, and you can go to one of 2 ways. And I went in to the right, and I go in, and there's probably easy 100, 120 people filling up sandbags like crazy. And like super fast. And then I was like, everybody looked like they were in control, not super stressed, but like they were filling up bags. Like you saw a bag hit the pallet probably easily one every 20 seconds. So you think about the manpower, the people power to do something like that.
Yeah, and it's the power of people,
Yeah.
And we were talking earlier, or at least I said in our conversation earlier, like you see the power of people in an immediate crisis, and you can see it in something that's a more long-term crisis, and it feels weird to be trying to learn something from this experience and trying to figure out where people can help and where you should help. And I think there's for every thing that's bad as it is, I feel like I'm seeing 10 things that are good, like whatever good looks like people filling sandbags, people posting on Facebook saying where can I donate, or where can I volunteer, or how do we support this thing. And some of those people are in affected areas and some of them aren't.
Yeah.
And I think it's just like, to me, like one of the reasons I was like, I don't know if we should talk about this yet, is like, should we be trying to talk about what that what that looks like in terms of people coming together yet, or should we talk about it later? But I mean, we're here, in the middle of it, and I'm curious to ask you, like how do you feel as a citizen, like not as a community development professional, like what do you feel is like your responsibility, or like what not your responsibility, but like what do you feel inclined to do or inclined to say?
Well, it was weird because then, as I had to call my boss and be like, hey, I can't do the communications work right now because my kids are crying, my wife's stressed, and we might be evacuated. And I'm like, I can't even think. And I have people emailing me at the same time saying, hey, church, what do we need to be doing? What more can we be doing? Why aren't we communicating? I'm like, okay, I couldn't do it all at once. And I texted one of my friends. He's a colleague, and I think of him as a friend. I was like, hey, I'll be honest, man. I don't have a clear mind right now, because my first inclination was like being a father and husband, being like, dude, I might need to pack my family up and go right now.
Right.
That's all I could think about. But come Sunday, though, Katie went back to work. We had a lot of stuff to do at the dress shop, and then she was like, hey, I'm gonna be home the rest of the day. And I said, okay. Hey, another levee broke. They need trucks. They need more baggers. I said, I gotta go. Mm-hmm. And she was totally on board with that. And so then at that point, now that I felt like, okay, I think we're okay. I sandbagged our building, some of my neighbors down here. I was like, I got to go help, and I ran a few loads out to, what is that, old 275. And again, another piece of power though was super dope. I drive in, and the first load, and I'm a little nervous myself, and I'm like, oh man, the water was just as high as like the window of my truck. I pull up, I probably have a good 50 sandbags in my truck. They unloaded it in maybe a minute, 20 seconds. It's these 60 dudes. And it was cool. Like, I don't want to take away, but it looked a little effortless as a group. Yeah. And it looked like something that they all looked happy to be doing.
It's power.
It's power, right? And it was a very beautiful thing. So again, it was something, they were doing a tremendous amount. What I'm trying to say is, like, it didn't look hard. Like, it looked,
right.
They all felt like they needed to be there. And to me, again, that's why we love this work, man. I mean, it's, Gary, one of my mentors in South O, he says food in crisis. That's what brings people together.
Yeah, I thought about that this week, actually.
Yeah, and for sure, man. I mean, down at the sandbagging pit, I saw them come in with, and it's kind of funny, you're gonna laugh. They came in with like 40 boxes of Little Caesars pizza. Yeah. And I think back at like my CCL kids in South O, they used to hate that I always got them Little Caesars.
Oh, I get so much flack for bringing Little Caesar pizza to things, but here's the thing, really, like when you're working, every amenity is valued, you know. And then also, like, when something's free, it's better, you know. Like anything that you ever eat that you didn't pay for tastes a little better than when you did pay for it. And it's like, for me, like, if I'm working, I wasn't expecting food. If I just whatever, like, Little Caesars is one thing. Like I've never purchased for myself a Pizza Hut, Domino's, Godfather, whatever it is. I've never bought any of that for myself. I've never paid for it for myself, and I guess I don't know, but it's in that situation. It's not only that, like what it is and the quality, but it's also just like the gesture, right?
No,
Like
taking care of volunteers, and like it's a small gesture, but got to feed your volunteers, take care of them. But it was so cool. So kind of like making it a little not lighthearted, but like bringing up. This is all positive, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to sound so somber. I love talking about identity. A phrase that came up that I was like, that's dope. I dug it. Fremont, or not, Nebraska Strong. People kept kind of tagging this on social media, and and I've seen kind of like the cutout of the shape of Nebraska and like this edgier, strong text written across. So people kept saying Nebraska Strong, Nebraska Strong. I'm like, I dig that. Like, it's when you start reading things about community lamentation in our fall and the Genovese effect, right? What happens with urban apathy? And it's true, it does happen. But then you get back to the beauty that can happen in a community like this in a time of crisis. And you know what I mean? I think that'll happen anywhere when it's a big crisis, right? Like, think about how many people in the very urban New York responded in 2001. You know what I mean?
Of course.
We bond together at our best moments as people and as brothers and sisters and say, hey, it doesn't, like you said it perfect. It doesn't matter what color you are, what language. I know that you're hurting. I know that I can do something.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is that, like, how can we do more of that? How can we tap in more of that?
So I think it's kind of, it's unfortunate that a really bad situation illuminates it,
Yeah.
because it's always there, I was talking to someone recently that was kind of somewhere in between anti-illegal immigration and anti-immigration in general. And
I could have that talk a lot.
yeah, I know. And so they and they were saying that, like, something that changed for them.
Black Sabbath's pro open borders, y'all.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it. Not open borders, but I mean, like, we just love people.
Well, it's not a political
it's not a
podcast, but sometimes political and moral don't coincide, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes I think you can take a real moral stance, and who cares what that means politically, and if someone takes that for you to be making a political point, then that's on them.
Yeah,
but
and
really,
I was joking. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't know, and the reason I'm gonna say not pro open borders because that's a political term which I haven't read about open borders. I'm just saying, like, I'm pro people.
Yeah, of course
we are pro people. Like, I don't care if you're illegal or not.
Yeah.
Dude, if you're in pain, I'm gonna stop and help. My favorite parable is the Good Samaritan. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's unfortunate how much people take morality or religiousness and try to dominate it with a certain political ideology. If we want to have a political podcast, I'm clearly ready. But anyways,
we try to stay. Me and Mikey are a little different politically.
Yeah, this person, this person talked about an experience in which they interacted with someone who was an illegal immigrant and felt kind of overwhelmed in a sudden realization that was just a person, that politically and everything they receive and everything they base their ideology off of is kind of based on things like workforces and GDP and, like, go through the right channels if you're a good person. Like, whatever it is, like, all of these kind of things.
Easier said than done.
Yeah,
right?
and then seeing someone and be like, oh, that's a person, right?
Yeah, that's a person that's applied, and they're not taking any applications right now.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
I
so
should have picked it different.
exactly.
sorry they were
Or you
born-
should have
they were
gone,
born here.
you know, go up to this place and, you know, and request X thing, and it's like, well, it doesn't always work like that, and that doesn't change humanity, and but that is always there. Like that person even being influenced by politics and by whatever, I don't know, media they
Yeah.
receive, like, or a flood happening, that humanity that's shown or that's presented to you like in that circumstance was there all along.
Yeah, and well, you know what? And as the water calms, like no pun intended, I mean,
Yeah.
it's gonna start. The ugly part of humanity is probably gonna start creeping up really close again.
So
And you know, let's
yeah.
not. We don't need to go there now.
Yeah.
I mean that it's. Man, the hard part is now. What do we do now? So now the water's kind of receding. It's raining as we're speaking. I'm sure. I know I'm nervous about the rain. Maybe the water's receded enough.
Yeah, I'm nervous too.
But you know, you might be spending the night.
I gotta go home.
If it got bad.
Yeah.
But what I mean is, so here's what I did. So responding is, last night I got out. I found one of these back roads to get out, and I'm following y'all on social media. Some people were like, "Oh, y'all should be listening to DOT, and you shouldn't drive out." Look, I get it. I didn't go around any barricades, and I emailed some people, and I said, "Hey, I heard you got through." And anyway, I did my thing. I got through. Took an hour and a half. Didn't go any. I went. Maybe it wasn't on the DOT site, but I didn't go around any barricades.
Mm-hmm.
I got to the conference, and as I'm getting there, the whole time I'm thinking and I'm looking at the landscape of my beautiful community, and I feel like I'm from the heartland now. You know, I was born in Texas, but I'm from here. This is my home. These are my people. All of them, white, black, brown, Asian, whatever you are, Catholic, non-Catholic, Christian, non-Christian, non-faith-based. I love you. I believe we all deserve a home. I know that if you're in a ditch hurting, I'm going to stop and try to help. So I'm thinking about all these things, and
Of course you are.
and I'm like, what are we going to do now? And I look at what I know how to do, and I say, well, gosh, I'm a housing neighborhood guy. And so I was like, well, let me do what I do. I went and grabbed some books, and I started thinking about Katrina. So good plug here, great book. I read half of it this morning. You know, I put my work. It's called Left to Chance. It's Hurricane Katrina and the Story of Two New Orleans Neighborhoods.
Yeah.
That's by Steve Kroll. I think it's an appropriate book to get now. So essentially the book, it follows these two neighborhoods that were in Katrina, and the book just came out in 2015. But what they did is they followed these people for 5 years after the flood. And I mean, can't even compare what's happened here to there. I mean, like they had thousands of people die. We had 4. Every life matters.
But you need learning that you can apply.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just more, and there's a lot of books about Katrina, and I picked this one though because it was neighborhood based, and it seems to be a story of resilience, right? Which I know our region responds to. We are a resilient community. I think all of them can be.
Yeah.
But hey, nobody's gonna quit on here, and we all got each other's hearts, and we got each other's backs. At the end of the day, we're all Nebraskans. You know, whether you're born here or not, we live here, so that makes you a Nebraskan. You know, Nebraska's strong.
We're all humans, you know.
Yeah.
And the way you said it, like, you know, you're gonna stop to help someone. Most people would. Most people would, and you could look at a lot of things that would make you think that most people wouldn't, but they're not really representative. Most people would. Most people are good people. I think most people are compassionate. There's just some loud voices that would suggest otherwise.
Oh, perfect,
and we've even seen
segment.
that around here. Like, just, I cursed 2 episodes ago. I'm not gonna do it now, but some complete just bull. You know what? Like.
BS, not Black Silver.
Yeah, just being pushed out in the world in a really selfish way.
You know though, Mike, it's interesting though. Like the people that are doing it, their intentions usually are well. Like they have this pride for their country, their community. I'm not defending the actions, but like, so here's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about a couple people on Facebook that were aggravating me a little bit because they're posting stuff like every 20 minutes and spreading fake news. Like, oh my gosh, and I'm like, part of me is like, oh man, are you people just let the DOT, the Douglas County, let the city of Fremont, let them give us the news. Let's take it as we need it, right? Like, let's not get people all panicked when we don't need to. You know, like Channel 7, I think, said everybody saw the military was evacuated, and they went out and published it. And I'm not hating on 7, but they did do that.
Yeah.
I heard. And then I hope they formally retracted it. But the sheriff's office says, no, not everybody saw the military was evacuated. At that point, I'll be honest, that's when my wife started crying.
Yeah.
You know, and nothing against her. She's like, oh, we got to go right now. And then she saw that. My kids freaked out. And, of course, my mother-in-law is the one who called us and said, they just said this on the news.
Right.
And we're like, okay, calm down. I haven't heard this from the DOT. You know, like, I'm trusting the sources, and I'm looking out the back. And have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen Independence Day? Will Smith. I referenced the movie last time. I guess I want to do it this time too.
Wow, that seems extreme.
No. Have you seen it though?
Yeah, I have seen it.
There's that scene where, like, at the beginning where the spaceships just arrived.
Yeah.
And Will Smith comes out. They like slept in. He comes out and like he looks around, and everybody's like loading up their cars. I got a good view of the neighborhood behind me.
Yeah.
I looked out there. I was like, holy.
No, I know.
I was like, everybody's loading up and they're getting ready, and I was like, okay, babe, I think let's get a suitcase together.
Yeah.
You know, and my son's crying about why he doesn't want to lose our home, and I'm like, look, it's just a place.
Well, you see that. You see it in media, and you see it in the just nonsense kind of social media validation culture that exists in some places. And there is local media is not great anywhere, right? No matter if you can go to Houston, you can go to LA, wherever you go, like the local media is just not really representative. And I'm not gonna say it. If you want to rewind and look, it's a station that you mentioned here locally that is really bad in regards of that. And I honestly, I don't care what that implicates me. They are really bad, and they should be.
Well, you just scared some people. Here's what I'm saying. I don't care. You know who did a great job? The Dodge County Sheriff's Office, the City of Fremont, and then the radio station Mix 105.5. I'm gonna give y'all a big shout out. Y'all were fantastic in terms of keeping people calm and giving us real information. And I mean, I don't know any of y'all, but whoever the people you all have in pushing out the social media information, it was crazy. I felt bad because I'm not a guy who panics, right? I wouldn't think you'd call me that. No. But man, I think I was on my phone 15 hours on Saturday. Like just reading this, combined with the people who are posting every 20 minutes about whatever. Yeah. And I'm not mad at them.
Why would they put off an Air Force base in a place where it could flood?
Yeah.
It's like, let's just settle down for a second.
You know, and then some people are really just talking about, well, how am I going to get out of town? I'm like, calm down. Right. We need to just be cool and think about others and like, hey, we're not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. It's Saturday. I knew Saturday we weren't going nowhere. Right. Come Monday, I got out of town though.
Yeah.
But it was, man, it was just, it's kind of nuts. You hear the choppers going everywhere, the boats running around. Yeah. But again, beautiful in the sense that the community coming together and just the outpour that we've gotten back over the last few days, that I have even as an individual. From colleagues in Omaha that I've worked with in community development for years. Yeah. They'll just be like, hey, what's up? Are you guys okay?
Right. And every time something like this, I mean, like something, it could be tornadoes or any other thing that, kind of devastates, a community. When you see what happens afterwards, it gives you hope in what's going to happen from here. Like, to me, I don't have any doubt that all of these cities, these towns, these villages, these neighborhoods, these communities are going to rebuild, because I've seen it happen before, locally or non-locally, and I think that's just a part of our human nature. And so there's something about it, I think, that shows how how we actually live together as people outside of all those media things and all those stupid Facebook posts that happen. Like when it really comes down to it, we're here together, then we will be, whatever comes.
Yeah. Yeah, and for everybody that was kind of just panicking too, like I told Katie, my wife, I was like, hey, I'm not mad at them. I mean, they were panicking, and that was the way they reacted. Not defending. I defend everybody, probably, right? So that's what Mike jokes at me.
Yeah.
Not everybody. We know a short list of people. I don't, but
Top 10.
Top 10. That's probably only about 10 people on my list. But here's the thing. I get you. Thank you for caring. Most of all.
Yeah.
Thank you for communicating, whether it was good news or not.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Gosh, if you sandbagged, if you prayed, if you are going to help with the response afterwards, if you just responded to some of your brothers and sisters or community people who were outside of our community that weren't impacted when they reached out to you, thank you.
Yeah.
To me, that's Nebraska strong. And Mikey, thanks for coming out here. I mean, I definitely felt your love. You're like, oh, I want to be there with you. And that's how I feel with like my brothers and sisters over in Inglewood and in Columbus. I'm thinking with my housing hat on. I'm like, all I can think about is like, my gosh, what are we gonna do? And I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna sound out of control.
Like logistically and in terms of actual rebuilding, like that might be like a conversation we can have on the podcast in the future.
Well, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
We definitely will.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be an interesting.
Probably, yeah.
It's guaranteed. Why wouldn't we talk about that?
No, yeah.
I mean, we're looking at doing a couple NR projects. We're doing a couple 518 projects here in downtown Fremont already. Thanks everybody for everyone. I mean, do you have any last comments?
No, I just think that I think like we're talking about this and we're looking at a lot of different things and we're paying attention to what a lot of different organizations are doing and government departments and nonprofits and everything. And if you listen to this and you have any questions about how you can help or where you can find help, send us an email.
Yeah, we'll connect you to the right people.
Feel free to contact us.
We're not saying we're it. We'll get you to the right people.
Yeah.
Google will too, kind of.
Yeah.
Don't go to Facebook for the right information.
No, don't. Yeah. But
sorry, Mark.
But if you do have specific questions, you can email us info@blacksailboat.com. And we'll be happy to respond.
Absolutely.
To those things.
Yeah. I guess the last takeaway I would have, and maybe I don't know if I should say this or not. It's kind of a downer. Do I say it or not?
Well, we're here now.
A challenge to everyone. And I'm thinking back, like, we're in this weird culture right now where something like this happens, and we're good about responding, but then this other side of our humanity comes out real quick, and especially in this modern age. This isn't a criticism. It's an evaluation. We move on to the next thing very quickly.
You see that happen locally,
and we do
for sure nationally.
I could probably name 5 things.
Yeah.
Where I thought about it, and then I'm like, oh, I don't think about it. And
for sure.
And the reality, all I'm thinking about is like, man, that's why I went and got this book, and I was like, wow, has Katrina recovered really? Or, like what Detroit's going through since 2008, have they really recovered? Or like, this is going to it's a long road right now of what's going to happen. And, state, FEMA, y'all aren't going to be able to do it all on your own. It's going to take a lot of private and public reinvestment, and then a lot of tenacity from the people who are going to hold Nebraska strong here and say, hey, this is my home. I'm not going. I might have lost my job. I might have lost my home. I love this community. My kid's still in school. There's one school, North Bend. Didn't they close indefinitely for the school year?
Yeah,
I don't know if
I
it's
think
North
so.
Bend. It's one of them. Don't quote me on that.
I don't know exactly.
I could be spreading fake news.
But yeah.
So,
but there's, it's if you're talking about the future of communities, and if you're trying to evaluate something, you're looking at 10, 15, 20 years, and so like if you really want to know the story, you're looking more long term. And I think that just goes to show, if you really want to know the public outrage, you're looking at like a 5-day to 2-week period. You can already see locally here with this flooding in Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, North Dakota, Iowa. You can already, like, in real time see the kind of outrage. Hey, we're talking about this, like, social media nature of it.
Yeah.
Kind of dying out, but that's not reflective of anything
No.
besides your 70 Facebook friends who saw it.
Yeah.
And the long-term response is going to be embedded deeper into the community, and it's going to be something deeper, and it's going to be continuing and happening way longer than the general public, as gauged by social media, quote unquote, cares about it.
Yeah.
It's gonna keep happening, and we're gonna see it keep happening, and I think we should keep talking about it. And but in terms of, like, exposure, it doesn't. What does it mean, and what does it translate to? And if it gets people, like, connected to where to donate, where to volunteer, that's great. But in terms of, like, here's what I think about this thing, who cares? It doesn't matter. What's really happening is going to happen within the community.
Last thing that was super dope that I didn't even think about was the people flying in. Like, flying cats, the planes that came in were flying people back home.
Really crazy. Yeah.
That was super cool.
I know.
That was one of the coolest things.
I was thinking about the cost.
I saw a few people jumping on a plane where I'm like, you don't need to get on a plane. I knew they were.
Yeah.
Like, props. I'm just hating because I didn't get on the plane. Part of me was like, I need to go, but hey, I'd rather break the rules and go drive on a road I probably wasn't supposed to. So
yeah.
No, but I was safe and I didn't break any rules. I'm just joking.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a lot of grief for that.
Do you want to do a hypothetical, or should we save it?
Let's do it.
Okay. Yeah, maybe this will help lighten it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I hope I feel like we've been positive anyways, but
it was a positive.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to say it was a positive experience.
No.
There was a lot of beauty
Yeah.
that was realized about more than just Dodge County, Fremont, the other communities impacted. It's a story for Nebraska that, honestly, they said the last time this happened was 50, or second time this happened in 100 years.
Yeah.
There's a story for the history books. So
it's a story that's just beginning to be told too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of story left to go.
Yeah, we're 3 days in.
Yeah. So my weekly hypothetical, this is our only recurring segment, is the weekly hypothetical.
Yep.
Mine requires a little bit of pre-work, right?
Okay.
So the first question to both of us,
Okay.
to me and you, is think of 3 like topics or subjects that you know the least about. Like what 3 things come to mind? It could be like physics.
That
could
I
be
know
like
the least about?
medicine. Like what are just 3 things that come to your mind that you don't know anything about? That's like worth noting.
Oh man, sports is one of them for sure.
Really?
I mean, it's comical how little I know about football and
That's
baseball.
a little broad. What sport specifically do you think?
I'd say I probably know more about football than I let on, but I don't like football. What
That was psychological. Yeah, why don't you let on? Okay, go ahead.
what sport would it be that I don't know anything about? Baseball, like why?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know much about baseball. I probably couldn't name more than 5 baseball teams. And there's probably a lot of them, right?
All right, so let's go with baseball, but then let's get out of sports.
Okay.
2 other subjects.
Okay, 2 other subjects. I would probably say, I don't know. You give one first, and I'll come back. You should go. You give one.
I'm going to go with dentistry. I don't know anything about it.
I can't use that one. I talk to my dentist all the time.
Really?
Yeah. When they pulled out my wisdom teeth, I made them like get a mirror and keep me open so I could talk to him while I was doing it. It was
really?
a weird thing. Yeah. Okay, so dentistry.
I'm going with dentistry. I don't know anything about it.
What? Car, mechanical. I mean, like,
What?
yeah, I can wrench at a moped, but I'm not like Nelly. Like Nelly's like a master genius. And end of the day, like, if I can't fix it, I'm gonna call Nelly. Hey, shout out to Nelly. and then Nana's gonna fix it for me.
I think you know more about cars. I'm
You
thinking
know-
of things you know nothing about. Nothing.
Yeah, I know something about cars, like I know models and stuff, but okay, nothing about.
Yeah,
I don't know.
nothing.
You gotta do another one.
Well, I'm
Pottery. No, I do know a little bit about
Pottery?
pottery.
all right. I'm going to go with like I can't even think of what it's called. Like like tree stuff, forestry. I don't know anything about forestry.
I took 3 horticulture classes.
Really?
Dang it. Forestry is a good one. Damn, what? Oh, can I name stuff about another country?
You
I
could
don't-
you could
I
make
don't
like
know.
the
I
history
don't-
of another country. That
I
could be
don't.
one
I
thing.
don't know, really, like shamefully, very little about India.
India.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know little about India and little about baseball.
Yeah.
I know little about forestry and dentistry.
Yeah, but we're supposed to do 3.
And we need one more each.
You go one more next.
Well, this is really flipped around on me. I'm going to go with
Oh, I got a good
I don't know.
one.
Okay, here's something I don't know anything about. Like the science of like rubber. Like
We said super.
I know.
We
Like,
sound super
I don't
jerks
know.
right now.
I don't.
There's a lot of things we don't know about.
Right, of
But we're-
course,
we're-
yeah.
But you said nothing, so we're trying to
Well,
think of
I
it.
don't like. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, if you said like, Mike, here's everything in the world. Make a bouncy ball. I have no idea. I don't know where to start.
Oh, I could.
Really?
Okay. Okay. So I got one though, and it's a field that like it's funny because I know a little bit about applied medicine, to where like like no, I really don't, like nothing. Like I'm almost ignorant. Like I know about I know about the anatomy, I know about biology, but when it comes to like feeling better and what you're supposed to do if somebody, I hope you don't choke around me because I'm probably gonna make you choke worse.
Okay.
I know, and I got kids, but that's one for sure. You know what happened last year? I went to the doctor because my hand hurt, and the doctor's like, "Hey, which hand is it?" He's like, "Well, let's talk about your other hand. You broke those 2 fingers, look broken."
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, "These 2?" And he took an X-ray, and I had 2 broken fingers. So that's
Yeah.
how little I know.
So you've got baseball, Western medicine. I don't know what you're saying. Medicine, and what was the other one?
India.
And India.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got making bouncy balls. Rubber works.
Rubber works.
I've got, what else did I have? Dentistry.
Dentistry.
And forestry.
And forestry.
Yeah. Okay.
Forestry, not horticulture. Like you don't know about gardening either. Are you going like with strict forestry?
I'm thinking of trees in particular. So
No, like
I
an
don't-
arborist.
Oh yeah, an arboristry. I'm
Arbist-
really going with the
No, forestry is
The end
dope
with the
though.
Y
Like,
thing.
okay, anything outdoor survival. I think me and you would both think. Let's add a 4th one on there. We both think we would survive in the wilderness. Odds are, there's a reason we both live in downtown environments.
Okay, wait.
Drop
hold
us
on.
in any city, we're gonna make it.
We're 7 minutes in to this hypothetical question, which hasn't even been asked yet. So yours is baseball, medicine, and what?
What do you mean?
You had 3 of them: baseball, medicine,
In India.
and India.
And then I'm adding.
Okay.
I'm adding.
No, no
Okay,
adding.
okay.
Just 3. And mine is dentistry, forestry, and what
Arborist.
what to do
Oh,
with rubber.
What to do with rubber? Yeah.
Okay, so here's my question. You take those 3 things.
That wasn't the hypothetical.
No.
Oh my gosh.
No, you take those 3 things, right? What were yours?
We're not going over this again. I get it.
Okay, all right, you take yours.
Okay.
If you had to leave here, right? Like we press stop on this podcast recording. You have to leave. You have to walk in to a classroom of college students who are studying that thing,
Yeah.
and you have to present for an hour on that thing. Which of those 3 things do you go with? You can't do anything. You can't research anything. You can't go on Wikipedia. You can't do anything, but you've got to talk about one of those three things
Dude,
for an hour. You got to fill an hour.
I'm going to talk about Latino medicine healing practices. And it's going to be
that
funny.
feels like cheating.
But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have fun with it.
What are you
I'll be
gonna
like, here's what you do. You just get some Alka-Seltzer. We take Alka-Seltzer for everything. You don't go to the doctor. That's what I would talk about. Because
you think you could fill an hour from that?
I could fill an hour being.
And you'd be the most.
I could
confident.
fill an hour being a clown. I would.
Yeah.
You didn't say that I had to talk well about it.
Well, those people the people are there to learn, so
they're gonna learn. They're gonna learn about how much they need to work with the Latino community in healthcare.
All right.
All right, you go.
You don't want to talk about baseball? You don't want to make up baseball?
Oh, I can't stand talking about sports.
All right, so
I'll leave a room if people are talking about sports.
Mine were forestry, dentistry, and rubber. That's literally the dumbest thing I'm on record as.
Which one are you gonna go? I think I know which one you're gonna say.
I'm gonna go with forestry.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. You're gonna say.
I don't know what I'm gonna say, but I'm gonna just gonna wing it.
You've planted trees.
I have.
They didn't live, but I mean.
I didn't know what type of trees they were.
You could talk about like how not to plant a tree.
Sure.
The extension office.
Yeah.
NRD grants.
Yeah.
We know how to get some NRD money.
Yeah.
I've gotten grant to plant 100 trees. I don't know nothing about them.
I've gotten funding for trees too, and but I've also chosen to not learn about trees because I don't. I think we talked about this before. Like, I don't. You get into learning all the when I first started learning about film, it's like, oh, I can't watch movies the same way because I'm critiquing everything.
I think we're way too into this.
I know.
The weekly Hidelo is long as this podcast.
I know, but I'm trying to think about I intentionally don't want to learn about trees because I just want to enjoy them the way that I see them and perceive them. Like I don't want to be walking around looking at these sidewalks, but oh, what's up with this? The way the city funds sidewalks. Why don't they care about this? It can ruin some things for you. Part of I want to protect how I see trees very innocently. But let's wrap it up.
That's it. Peace.
That's it.
Thanks for listening.
All right.
Good luck. Nebraska strong.
Nebraska strong.
Love
See
you guys.
Next week.
Thanks for everything.
info@blacksailboat.com if you need any assistance with anything. We'll be happy to connect you to something.
Amen. Thank you guys.
Peace.
God bless. And ladies.